Welcome to the Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation One Stop Career Center's grand opening. This was truly a long journey to get here, but we couldn't be more pleased with the outcome. This is an opportunity now for our staff to actually provide quality services to the residents of Prince George's County. And there was a lot of individuals that actually worked on this one-stop location to get it up and running and get it prepared. So I just want to give them a quick thank you. We have Patricia Blackwell here and her team that worked on it. We have Jamie Gannell. We have Jeffrey Swilley. We have the Sanji Epps, that's no longer here with us, Liz Williams, and so many others. This is really a state-of-the-art location, and it's what our residents actually deserve to help get them back employed and to get them trained to take advantage of the jobs of tomorrow. So again, I want to say thank you to all of the staff, and then thank you to the Office of Central Services as well. Now it is my honor and my pleasure to introduce Congresswoman Donna Edwards of our 4th Congressional District in Maryland, which comprises portions of Prince George's County and Anne Arundel County. Congresswoman Edwards was sworn in after a special election to become a member of the U.S. House of Representatives in the 110th Congress in June of 2008 and began her first full term in the 111th Congress in 2009. Since being sworn in, the Congresswoman has secured a number of legislative accomplishments to improve the lives of working families in her congressional district and around the county. Her first act as a member of Congress was to add Maryland to the after-school suppers program, ensuring successful nutritional suppers to after-school youth and development programs in schools located in low-income areas. In fact, several students from our Youth Keys program, funded under the Workforce Investment Act, got their first summer job while working as an intern in the Congresswoman's office. And this year we're also proud to have students work with her and her staff again. The Congresswoman also hosts annual job fairs, college and career fairs, and a nonprofit roundtable fair, all of which EDC has proudly supported over the years. Please join me right now in a warm welcome for our Congresswoman, Donna Edwards. Thank you.
Well, thank you, President McCall, for that really wonderful introduction. And I have to tell you, I could not be more excited than to be here today, both to have our representatives from the state, Mr. Ripkowski, thank you, and our county executive, Rashern Baker, for your leadership as well, and to all of our partners who are here today. As Ms. McCall has described, we have had in my office a long-term and fruitful relationship with our one-stop centers, both when I represented Montgomery County, Anne Arundel County, and here in Prince George's County. And it's a partnership that's resulted in people getting jobs, which has to be the #1 order of business. We've partnered with the Prince George's County Economic Development Corporations, as Ms. McCall has described, in our job fairs. Just last summer, in fact, in a job fair, and the One Stop Center was such an amazing partner, because not only did we do pre-job fair workshops where people could come in and get skills development on how to do resumes and how to participate in interviews and all of those things that you need before you actually sit down with an employer. And so we did those before the job fair. And then on the day of the job fair, the One Stop Center was right there too, along with hundreds of employers with thousands of people lined up an hour before the doors open, so that they could be prepared to get a job. And I will never forget that there was one woman I went through, and I was shaking hands and wishing people good luck. And they were talking about the skills that they learned in the pre-workshop with the One Stop Center and with counselors. And they were talking about how that made them feel really prepared to come out and to get a job. And they felt this woman felt absolutely confident that she was going to get a job that day because she had done the preparation work that could not have happened without the good counselors and services for the One Stop Center. And so I'm excited by this partnership and what it means, and what it means for resources that allow job seekers and as the name says, to make one trip to one place in order to assess their job skills and training, their resume writing, online job database access, and so many other valuable assets. And indeed, I was just at church this past Sunday, and a woman came up to me and she talked about how she had just lost her job and she needed to find a job. And I asked her, have you been to the One Stop Center? And you know what she said, what too many people still say, what do you mean? Where is it? And so I had the pleasure, and I wasn't even thinking about being here today, but I had the pleasure of being able to share with her the One Stop Center and the things that she could get at the One Stop Center that would prepare her to get a new job. And so the resource is really important for so many people in our community. I'm especially proud that over the course of the summer, we're going to be partnering with the One Stop Center to provide skills-based training for our reentering population, for those young people and some of them older who've done their time, but now they want to come out and be productive citizens. And we are working with the One Stop Center to do skills development and identify employers that will sometimes take a risk, but it's a calculated risk when people have good training to hire our returning citizens. And so I'm looking forward to that, and the reentry program that works here in the county is one that really serves us very well. Recently, I introduced the Online Job Training Act, H.R. 1121. And what this bill would do is it would provide grants to states to either establish or improve online workforce training programs with the goal of making job training more accessible and convenient for prospective workers. That's exactly what we do here. We need to be able to do it more, and we need to make sure that our citizens are aware of what's available to them. And so I could not say enough. I mean, under the bill, each state would actually be eligible for $100,000 in federal funding to implement or enhance online courses as part of their workforce investment programs. It would also authorize $1 million for the creation of a National Center for Excellence that would coordinate with state and local workforce investment boards to develop more technology-driven methods for education and job training. Technology really is the wave of the future, and it really doesn't matter what kind of job you're going to do in the 21st century. You have to have those technology skills in order to do that. And our One Stop Center is going to be a place, and already is a place, where people can get those skills, get the training that they need, and go out and conquer in the workforce. And so if you are detecting a little bit of enthusiasm on my part, then it's because it's real. And I just, we know that if there's one person who wants a job, we need to help them find a job. And there's too much said about people who don't want to work and they don't want to contribute. I actually think that most people who aren't working want to work. And the One Stop Center, and under our leadership here in the county with County Executive Baker and our leadership in the state with Governor Hogan, we are committed to making certain that if somebody wants a job, we're not going to put any barriers in the way to them finding them. And the One Stop Center is the place to make that happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congresswoman Edwards. Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Liz Williams. I'm the Director of Workforce Services Division here at Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation. And it is my pleasure to be here and to be able to introduce to you Assistant Secretary for Workforce Development and Adult Learning at the Department of Labor Licensing and Regulation, James Ripkowski. Jim has spent the last 8 years working for Constellation Energy as their Director of Corporate Workforce Services for their nuclear division. He helped develop and implement the company's mission-critical workforce development initiatives, including strategic partnerships with educational institutions and other entities. Prior to that, Jim had a nice long career in public service. He really is truly a public servant. He spent 9 years in the legislature and 4 years as an assistant secretary at the Department of Business and Economic Development. So he really understands what we do in a way that a lot of people don't, and how you bring economic development and workforce services together. So without further ado, I will hand to Jim.
Good afternoon again. Jim Repkowski, Assistant Secretary with the Maryland Department of Labor, Licensing and Regulation, Division of Workforce Development and Adult Learning. I'm exhausted just saying that. I am very, very pleased to be here, and I do bring a little bit of passion for the job, and I'll explain that in a moment. But I do bring greetings from Governor Lawrence Hogan, Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford, and our Secretary of the Department of Labor, Kelly Scholes. They were unable to be here today and did ask that I extend greetings from them. Thank you, Liz, for the very warm introduction. Congresswoman Edwards, you did an excellent job with my last name, so thank you very much for that. To my former colleague, having served in the House of Delegates with County Executive Rush Baker, I'm so thrilled to see you again and have the opportunity to work with you. Ron Owens is my local person here, so I thank him for his hospitality and congratulate him on his new facility. I am really pleased to be here. I do bring a very unique background, having served in the legislature in Maryland, looking at issues all around the states. Leaving the legislature, going to the Department of Economic Development, I served the 15 rural counties of the state, serving as the Chief Economic Development Officer in Western Maryland, Southern Maryland on the Eastern Shore. After leaving that opportunity, went to be the Corporate Director of Workforce Development and Constellation Energy Nuclear Group, basically looking at the energy pipeline and realizing that 50% of our energy workforce was eligible to retire in the next 5 to 10 years, and we did not have a pipeline of skilled workers to fill that gap. So we developed a program in Southern Maryland, opened the Center for Nuclear Energy Training. We did one in New York, and we did an online program as well. So it was kind of unique to come to this job, and I'll share something personal. I was recently a client of a one-stop service. I was a dislocated worker. I was part of a downsizing with Constellation Energy being absorbed by Exelon out of Chicago. I had a choice to relocate or take a severance package and be a dislocated worker. I opted to stay in Maryland, and I'm very glad I did. But I had to go to the one-stop center and take part in the services and get the assistance. So it was very unique coming to this position, having that background and actually being a client of the system. Just a little bit about the folks that we're serving. This facility serves 30,000 businesses and job seekers each year and is a vital link for job seekers and the businesses that are looking for skilled employees. If you look at the number of people, I did a brief tour. Can you imagine that they were in a 4,000 square foot facility? Can you imagine the flow through of traffic of people coming through this facility and having been in a 4,000 square foot facility? They're now in an 11,200 square foot facility. And let me tell you something about being unemployed. You're sometimes a little embarrassed. You don't want to ask for help. And if you go to a facility that is not professional, so we need to make sure our facilities treat our workers like professionals because they're delivering professional services. But when you're unemployed and you go to a dingy, old-style government office building, guess how you feel when you're in that environment? You don't feel valued. So I commend Prince George's County, the county executive, and your team for investing in a facility that make our clients feel valued. That means that probably means more than some of the other services we give. Resume help, very important. All those things are very important pieces of the puzzle, but feeling valued and feeling that there are people that want to get someone back to work is incredibly important. I don't want to take up much more time, but I do want to say that we are pleased to be a partner. When the customer comes in here, they really don't care who services them, but there are kind of two halves of this puzzle of workforce development delivery of services. You have the state side, which is funded by a federal act, the Wagner-Peyser Act of 1933, so we've been at it for a long time. State Department of Labor staff provide certain services to the customers that come in the door. And then there's the Workforce Investment Act, which has been recently reauthorized to the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. So we went from WIA to WIOA, and that's the county staff that provides other services that the state staff can provide. I think the implementation of WIOA, and I am pleased that the Congresswoman worked on that legislation, is we have an opportunity to make sure the customer sees seamless delivery of services. When someone comes into the stop, they don't care if it's a state employee that services them or a county employee. They care that they're getting services and someone cares about their lot in life and trying to take them to the next level. So our workforce system here in Maryland serves approximately 162,000 participants, over 12,000 of which are veterans, and of that, about 80,000 were placed into jobs. And of those placed, 82 remained in employment for 6 months. So we track all the facts and figures in our division. And with that, I just want to say how pleased I am to be here. As you can tell, I am a temporary holder of this Assistant Secretary seat. My job is to serve you and to make your delivery of services better. So if I can be of assistance to undo some barrier in state government or take a new idea, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm interested in what you in the field have to offer to improve the system. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for including me.
Thank you, Jim. You just made my job a lot easier. Jim did a phenomenal job of covering what we do in terms of delivery of services. I hope you will take the time after the program to tour the facilities, where you will have an opportunity to see workshops that are in session, and they weren't planned just because you all were going to be here. We are doing testing to help assess job seekers and help ensure that they get into the right jobs, the right fit, long-term full employment. We also have some re-employment assistance, very intensive assistance for longer-term unemployed job seekers. We have a lot of really great things going on here. And as Ms. McCall said earlier, it took a lot of work, a lot of partnerships, and a lot to get us here and get us where we are. And what we really do is we make sure that businesses have the talent pool that they need so they can remain competitive in the global marketplace that we're in today, and that the job seeker, whether it's their first job, they want to change careers, whatever it is they want to do, they want to work, and we want to ensure that they have the resources and the skills that they need. Things Jim talked about in terms of everything from helping you write your resume to finding real training for you. We train everything from certified nursing assistants to CDL, commercial drivers, project management for people who are interested in project management. So for the folks that qualify, we can provide all of these trainings for them. Just a tremendous amount of work that we do here, and it's very heartening to see somebody finally get that job. And I could stand here all morning and go on and on about the wonderful, wonderful work that we do and why it's important, but I think it's more important for you to hear it from people who've actually used the system and have had success as a result. So the first person I'd like to bring up is Marinico Baines. Is she not out there? Nope. Oh, I'm sorry. Karen Williams. Sorry, Karen.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Karen Williams, and what I can say, I'm going to share very briefly. I came through the program as I would say I did a transition in terms of a career. I worked in various media outfits. I started out at News Channel 8 to WJLA. I worked as a master control operator and then decided I needed to go back to school. During that time, I worked at BET. In that time frame, our division, our master control operation was relocated to New York, so that caused me to be displaced. With that, I had to come and find my way here to One Stop. I had a partial resume, but the biggest thing that I wanted to do, my heart stated that I wanted to be a meteorologist. So I did not have, I already had the background in education, but I did not have a reel. So I did all my research, and I worked with two wonderful counselors. One who's no longer with us at the program, Danielle Ellison, and the second person was Vernice Gonzalez. Those two ladies worked with me very diligently, and they did not let up. I had various people here that looked at my resume. I took all sorts of criticism. I jotted down notes and just did all the necessary corrections. The next thing that we did was I went and I researched, why should we help you out? So with that, I looked at the market and what I needed for people to see me. So at that point, we had the resume reel created. One proposal went over to CTV. And with CTV, they did not have the facilities to put together my reel. They had the green screen, but they did not have the program needed to present weather. So I ended up going, and we found our way to Orlando, Florida, to American Talent Dynamics. They had never heard of this program. They were floored. They're like, Ms. Williams, how and why are you coming here? I said, I need a reel. So at that point, Ms. Danielle and the people at American Talent Dynamics, they were exchanging emails, phone calls for about a couple weeks, and finally got a proposal together that met the standards and made sure that I got approved. The only thing I had to pay for was my airfare and for a makeup artist. That's what I had to do. Everything else was covered. So with that, we had everything prepared and ready to go. After it was done, I sent out 150 resumes along with the reels with the link for about 5 weeks. Went back and forth, and then finally someone called. That was HMTV 6 in Hagerstown. They called, I had an interview, and I was hired as a part-time meteorologist. I worked there, so I drove back and forth from Laurel to Hagerstown, did that for a year, until they decided they were not going to have part-time staff anymore. They were just only going to have full-time, and that's it. So back again, I came to One Stop. But this time around, I knew better. So this time around, I had resume looked at again, considered all the factors and the different market responsibilities. And when I say market responsibilities, how employers view and the different types of interview situations. This time around, social media came into play. With social media, I'm not comfortable with it, but I had to do it. LinkedIn, Facebook was my best friend. I got out there and worked it to the point in which I can just say, wow. There were basically, you could not, even though they were like, Ms. Williams, you're qualified, but we have a more qualified, candidate that we want to go with. So at that point, and that's why I tell everyone, you never burn your bridges, because at that point, people that I had met along the way, I started calling in favors. I saw a job that I really wanted. I said, this is the perfect match. I knew someone that worked in that company, so I just said, hey. I just filled out online application process. Everything, my reel, the resume, everything, the link is online. Can you please download the resume and take it into someone, just bump me ahead. And then that's exactly what I said, bump me ahead. No shame in my game. I just said it straight out. So we did that. We did that for about 3 months. And I can say December the 15th, someone called me and said, Ms. Williams, would you come in for an interview? I said, okay. We went in for an interview and we talked. And they said, Ms. Williams, why? You know, you've been out of the TV game a little bit for a while. Why do you want to come in as a part-time production camera person? I said, basically because I want to get my foot back in the door again and we can go from there after 90 days. So, after 90 days, well, I'm ahead of myself. After the 15th, December the 24th, I get a phone call back, Ms. Williams, we have hired you. That came from Fox 45 Baltimore. I started working January 5th, 2015. And on the 5th in April, I just had my review yesterday. They bumped it ahead of time. I am in the door. I am at Fox 45. You know it's part-time. But with Sinclair Broadcasting, I will say this. That is the parent company. Their belief is, and I'll tell anybody in this room, companies will hire from within. And that's just the truth of it. They will hire from within. If you are a good, that you show that you are determined, that you really want it, that you're a go-getter, they will, even though they will put those jobs out there, they will look first within first before they hire anybody. So I can say thank you to One Stop. Like I said, I have been in every nook and cranny of this building, not in this building, but the other facility, have worked every which way, have worked with POAC, the whole gamut. And I will tell anybody, you have to do your end of it, and they will do their end of it. And you two of them together, there's no telling where you can go.
Thank you very much for sharing your story with us. And that's just one of the tens of thousands that we have the pleasure of being part of every year. And also, one of the big things that helps us be successful are the board for the EDC and our local workforce investment board, soon to be called Workforce Innovative Board. They're changing everything with the new law. So I want to just take a second and acknowledge some of our board members that are here today. David Iannucci and Floyd Wilson. I saw him, there you go, right in front of me. And from our local workforce investment board, we have Larry Greenhill. And our chair, Charlene Wade. So thank you for all of their hard work. They help make sure that this all keeps going. So I just wanted to acknowledge them briefly. Now, if you want to talk about a true supporter of the workforce system, the residents of this county, ensuring they receive full employment and have the best facilities to do it in, all you need to do is look at our county executive, Rashawn Baker. He is a true champion of the work that we do, a true partner in the work that we do, whether we're serving the youth of the county, young adults of the county, dislocated workers, adult workers, whatever they are. He is a true believer and understands that it's not just getting one person a job. If you get that person a job, it impacts their family, and that impacts the community, and it impacts how we all live, which is why it is so critical and vital to have that level of support. So I wanted to give him the opportunity to kind of wrap it all together for us, and then afterwards we'll have a little ribbon cutting outside.
I don't know if I need to wrap it up at all. I think Karen did a great job. Can we get another round of applause? You know, as a county executive with a shelf life, your story about changing careers and the One Stop, I may just kind of leave my name out there. Hold it. Maybe I should start early. But that was a tremendous story, and it just showed how important these things we're doing are. It also showed the importance, as my former colleague Jim, we served together in the House of Delegates. Believe it or not, he's one of the youngest members in the House of Delegates, and he still looks the same age. But that passion, even then, that he had, that he carries to his current job, is important with the county and the state working together. And what can I say about our Congresswoman? She has made it part of her job from the very first run for Congress to make employment, quality career jobs for the residents of this county and this state a priority, and we should give her a round of applause for all the hard work she's done. To Liz and Gwen and the whole team, this is not a small effort. This is not a minor thing. This is probably the most important work we do as servants, and we're all public servants who work here. It is our job, as Jim said, to help out our clients, not just to find a job, not just to find a career, but in many ways to find their way back, to find that respect back. We've all been through it at some stage in our life where we need really to go in and sit down with somebody who's treating us with the kind of respect that we need to get ourselves off the floor. Because once we do that, we're going to impact the entire community. So this is the important work that's going on. And our job, and my job as county executive, is to make sure that we are in a facility that represents the type of work that the individuals here do, and that we provide the type of support that they deserve. And so we're very pleased with this coming together. We're very pleased that we're going to have a chance to tour this. And, these are the good days when you're county executive. You get to come here, you get to cut a ribbon, you get to take credit for a lot of people's great work. So thank y'all. But you really do get to walk away, and I know it's the same for the Congresswoman and for Jim and for his folks. You get to walk away feeling like, you know what? That's why we did what we did. That's why we get up in the morning. It is not for the parties at night. It is not for awards. It's because we can hear Karen's story. That's why we're doing it. So thank you, and thank to the board members.